All right, everybody, it's an emergency video tonight because we just got breaking news a couple of minutes ago. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see it, but a tweet coming out from David Sachs confirming that Donald Trump did just sign an executive order. I'm going to read this and break it down and explain what is going on in case anyone's wondering, why are we doing an emergency stream? Well, that's pretty big. What also is pretty big is Bitcoin is dropping on this news. A trade that we just set up today in the live show has already been entered and exited. We're going to talk about where that could potentially go down to, but let's talk through the details of this tweet. Just a few minutes ago, President Trump signed an executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Good news so far. Let's get into the rest of it, though. The reserve will be capitalized with Bitcoin owned by the federal government that was forfeited as a part of a criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings. This means it will not cost taxpayers a dime. All right, that's an important part right there because you're going to think it's good, but there's some people freaking out about that little detail. I'll explain why here in a second. By the way, if you guys are enjoying these private or these emergency updates when they come out, make sure you're smashing the likes so that we keep on doing them. I want to know you guys like it as well. Let's continue on, though. It is estimated that the U.S. government owns about 200,000 Bitcoin. However, there has never been a complete audit. The executive order directs a full accounting of the federal government's digital asset holdings. The U.S. will not sell any Bitcoin deposited into the reserve. It will be kept as a store of value. The reserve is like a digital Fort Knox for the cryptocurrency, often called digital gold. Premature sales of Bitcoin have already cost the U.S. taxpayers over $17 billion in lost value. Now the federal government will have a strategy to maximize the value of its holdings. The Secretaries of Treasury and Commerce are authorized to develop budget-neutral strategies for acquiring additional Bitcoin. So even right there, he's talking about future additional Bitcoin. But let's keep going because people are freaking out, provided that those strategies have no incremental costs on American taxpayers. In addition, the executive order establishes a U.S. digital asset stockpile consisting of digital assets other than Bitcoin forfeited in criminal or civil proceedings. Okay, keyword here, stockpile. Keep an eye on that word right there. The government will not acquire additional assets for the stockpile beyond those obtained through forfeiture proceedings. That line is what is causing everybody to freak out. But again, I want to finish reading it, and then we'll go through some more details. The purpose of the stockpile is responsible for stewardship of the government's digital assets under the Treasury Department. Promises made, promises kept. President Trump promised to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve and digital asset stockpile. Those promises have been kept. This executive order underscored President Trump's commitment to making the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. I want to thank the president for his leadership and vision in supporting this cutting-edge technology and for his rapid execution in supporting the digital asset industry. His administration is truly moving at tech speed. I also want to thank the president's working group on digital assets markets, especially the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick for their help and support in getting this done. Finally, Bo Hines played a critical role as executive director of our working group. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the news that we have been waiting for quite some time. In fact, some people acted as if this was something that was supposed to happen day one of the president's term back on January 20th. That being said, as I said before, the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is plummeting. Right now, Bitcoin has dropped from this news entered around $90,000 all the way down below $86,000 again. If you were on our live show earlier today, we set up a trade way up back here. Now, we ended up editing this a little bit in our private group. So if you guys were in our VIP training group, you got a better entry. We had to move the stop loss just a little bit because there was something about the speed that changed all this. But our trade played out just perfectly. This, of course, because of massive liquidations we assessed down at this level. The question is, can we keep going deeper at the moment? But before we do that, why are we dipping in the first place? Why are Bitcoin and crypto prices crashing? Well, if I go back over to the tweet, this is going to be the line that people are going to focus on. If you ask anybody why are we going down, they do not like this line. The government will not acquire additional assets for the stockpile beyond those obtained through forfeiture proceedings. Keyword there, stockpile. There's two different things happening with this executive order. There's the Bitcoin strategic reserve, or the strategic reserve, and then there's also the details about a stockpile. These are two different things. It's something that we assumed back earlier this year when Trump said stockpile instead of reserve, but now it's coming to fruition, and yet people are still treating it like it's the exact same thing. The other thing about this whole announcement is that Trump is doing what he's allowed to do. He cannot guarantee or make a law that says that American taxpayer dollars will be put into a reserve or a stockpile. He only would have control over what's currently there. In this case, we're talking about what's already been forfeited, what's happening through criminal strategies. And yet people are acting like what this order is saying is Trump is saying we're going to use that and then nothing else. We're never buying anything else ever again. Well, that makes zero sense, because the announcement he made on Sunday, if you guys remember, was that there would be a strategic crypto reserve, and he listed Solana, XRP, Cardano, and included Bitcoin and Ethereum. Well, that doesn't line up with this at all. That means, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be patient and not just assume we understand what's happening, because there's a lot more moving parts. But in reality, the way I see this is simply step one of a much larger and grander situation that we could see down the road. Trump is enacting what he has the power to deal with right now and is saying, you know what, I can promise this. We're going to work later on. I'm sure it's what he talks about tomorrow night. We're going to work later on to get Congress to approve purchasing more cryptocurrencies. But to get a strategic reserve, you got to start somewhere. And this is an amazing first step. Do not freak out. Continue to be patient, and you will see the rewards from that patience for years to come. I don't think that one bit of this is negative for altcoins or Bitcoin, and yet the prices are coming to the downside. And that's what brings us back into the charts. As I said here several times, we've dropped to levels I'm not necessarily surprised we went down to. Here's one of the reasons why. Even though this news, let's go ahead and get rid of some of this price action. This trade has now been complete. We can go ahead and cancel that out. I told people in the live show earlier today, the 4-hour chart had a sell signal and that we could fall all the way back down here somewhere between 86,300. And I told you guys even potentially as low, if we come back over here and look, we could even fall all the way back down here towards 83,400, right? This is that sell signal that we just got, and you move and extend this thing over, this smart trail over. These are the levels we're kind of watching right now. All right, so technically we could keep on crashing lower. To be fair, we could go a little bit lower than that. There's technically on the signals and overlays pattern some take profit levels coming in down here towards 81,000. We could choose to eliminate all of the gains that we've just made over the last couple of days, a completing of the buy the rumor and then sell off completely all of the news. That's absolutely on the table. But on shorter time frames, I'm seeing a lot more support. If you're asking what comes in next, I'm seeing a lot more support in this area around $84,000, $83,000, as you do see the 1 hour green support band coming in here very nicely. Also, when you start to take a look at Bollinger Bands, even out here on the 4-hour chart, again, somewhere here, 83, 85, 82.5, give or take, is going to be the bottom support band of the Bollinger Bands. We are massively oversold right now on our oscillators, on everything 1 hour and down. Everything up is back in the neutral spot. So just be prepared. A little bit more of a crash here coming tonight, a clearing of the space before we continue back to the upside. All of this is, in my opinion, what we predicted earlier, an initial sell-off of bringing the prices back down before we get excitement tomorrow. The whales can buy. The price of Bitcoin shoots back up. The question's going to be, though, with this executive order, tomorrow night, do we stop here back at 90,000? Do we continue higher? Does he say something at that crypto, whatever it's called? It's the White House Crypto Summit. Do we say something at that meeting that sends Bitcoin and altcoins to new highs, or is it a nothing burger? Do we end up kind of staying and trading within this range now back towards 80,000 to 90K? Has this become a new trading range until the next big news for Bitcoin? That's what we'll continue to unwrap tomorrow on the live show. But for now, what you need to understand, wrapping this whole video up, this is phenomenal long-term news. It is the sell the news event we were looking for an original dip. But keep an eye on those charts and keep an eye on tomorrow's movements when the markets open back up. Will whales take advantage? Will they buy this dip? And will they send us back into a rally in high anticipation of what tomorrow night's crypto summit looks like? We'll cover that again tomorrow. Make sure to come back at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more on that video. With that said, that's all I have for you guys here. Make sure on your way out to smash that like, hit subscribe if you want to see more of these emergency videos. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.